Good morning, traders, investors, punters from all over. I hope you had a good rest. Yesterday was, as we went through, pretty much a balancing day, and we're seeing a little bit more of that this morning. Markets are lower, but not significantly, as you would expect after last night and yesterday. Quickly overnight, uh, we're seeing more news of Omicron again, the COVID variant, and that is still obviously an issue. One day it means nothing, next day it doesn't. We had central banks back in focus. Yesterday we had Brazil raise rates, Canada do nothing. And that's been quite the tear on Brazil. They're actually attacking inflation, whereas countries like Turkey, well, that's quite the mess, isn't it? Doing the opposite. Fitch has moved to downgrade Evergrande and its subsidiaries. So these are still overhanging there. The market tends to ignore it for different reasons. Fitch also downgraded Kaiser, another property developer over there in China, for missing a payment. And they have said that they're actually they're working on restructuring over there at Kaiser. WHO is out saying they'll require 2 to 3 more weeks to study the Omicron variant. And ECB, back on central banks, he said it is near a compromise on temporary limited bond purchases. And out of China, again, the People's Bank of China moves to curb their yen appreciation by hiking the foreign reserve ratio from 7 to 9%. Yes, Evergrande, Nick, thanks for that, is in technical default. And Kaiser, I believe, if not also, is about to be. So these are real issues. Thanks for that. Back on what's going on here, yesterday we had earnings. GameStop was one of the big ones that everyone had their focus on, mainly because it was a meme stock. That was not a good result, and it's down heavily. Another big loss-making effort from those guys. Research RH, which is restoration hardware, which someone told me yesterday they actually have a restaurant there, so it's about all I know about that. I'm a little bit cynical, but they're up 10%. Amazon's lower on news of a $1.3 billion fine from Italy with an antitrust matter. Oil prices have come back a bit, and treasury bonds are lower. So let's go through. We'll go through quickly some of the. We'll go through quickly on the charts here, and we'll circle back. So looking at where we are on the S&P, let's start with daily. We have almost at record highs here. We faltered last night. So basically this move's pretty straightforward. This is either going to be an ABC complete, i.e. correcting this first move down. So it'd be like a V reversal. And so this would be A, B, right? A, B, and then you'd have a sharp C. That's your bearish scenario. And your bullish scenario is that this here was the completion of the ABC, i.e. the corrective mode, and we're going to motor up here. So that was 1, 2, 3. We do a little 4, and we would go higher. Our key, again, from daily on the major trend is this tanking. We keep it pretty simple, so we keep an eye on that. Okay, let's look at that on an hourly basis. So what we see really, if we put all that into perspective, we've basically gone sideways since the big rip up. And you can see the 1, 2, 3 waves pretty clear, possible 4, and then higher for bull. We're right at the cloud, so we're right at a transition point as we speak. And where we are, all around this 80 level on SPOOs and on cash, is where all the congestion was yesterday. And remember yesterday, pretty straightforward, bounce off the cage and failed here. The important thing, there is a lot of negative stuff out there, and the market threw it off very quickly because we're very much in a FOMO mood. So watch the tape, watch your technicals. There's, obviously the news is out there, opinions are out there, and over NovaWave did a article which I implore you to read overnight on the DIX. So in other words, it's the Dark Pools Index. It gives you a really good indicator, and you should read it, about how markets truly operate. And the relevance is what happened in the last few days, what people claim is a short, is the market short, and how the market operates, particularly in the dark pools. And there's nothing obscure about that. That's just a terminology. So that's our hourly. And let's go back and very quickly onto our 5-minute. And here you can see more concisely just all that support leads there. And that's computerized trading is 85%. And all that means is it's consistent. So we're going to trade that in the grid if you're a scalper or day to day. Other markets. See, we can see NASDAQ almost the same, right? And no surprise there. It's really just a question of which degree those markets trade against each other. And the Russell, remember, this isn't as accurate overnight because it's cash. There's just not as many people trading it. Same thing. So you can see this big pennant on both that you can break out of either way and look for false breaks. Oil, overnight, we're also consolidating there. We had the EIA report out yesterday, the storage report. You can see that on the website. We had reports that Israel and America are planning an alternative move if Iran doesn't do what they want to do. There's some good articles about that. I always find it quite laughable, really, that Iran's meant to fit in exactly despite what's going on. So a lot of this is saber rattling, trying to redirect. And here we are in oil. You can see what happened overnight. This is a short-term chart, just 10 minutes, pushing up on that news. And then we had it became a risk asset, risk off with the Evergrande, the defaults, the virus. Remember, as our friend Chad said, oil does not like lockdowns, and that's what England's talking about. So that's our 10-minute there. Let me get this a little bit wider so you can actually see. So the Murray math levels. Remember these, just if you don't have it, we just pretty well clinical on NovaWave with Murray math, with Ichimoku, and the reason, as I said, the dark pool, you'll get an understanding of the depth and how that works. Let's see where we are today. So you can see the pink is the pivot point, which we look at the same as our POCs for traded or deeply traded futures, S&P, oil, natural gas. So we are actually below the pivot today, and so that's our magnet, if you like. And then, if you like, we got our S1, which is where we are right now at Tankin, which you've noticed on most days that's where we're going to open on WTI, because it's an American traded commodity, and unless there's some big mover overnight, it's going to gravitate towards there. Not always, but keep in mind what that means. We have S1 and S2 down here for support, and R1 and R3 in simple terms. We then look to see how that coincides with our longer term picture. Here's our daily. We got almost identical to the S&P, so you can think what's going on. Speculation, short covering, however you want to put it. We had our first red spug. It didn't quite get to the Cajun yet. It may not. Let's see how this plays out. Different pattern here. You got a flat Cajun, which is a magnet, but you've got weakness still in Tenkan, still pointing down. And then let's have a quick look here at some of these. You can see here where we are on hourly. We've just nice congestion, 3, 4. You do have 5 waves, so that gives you your bullish case, right? Waves your direction of continuation, 3 is your correction. And we've come in under the cloud though. We broke down, so we're going to watch what the Tenkan does here on the cage, and does it come back through, and what's that telling us? If it does, we have support on this green line, which is the 50, and in the cloud. Quickly on natural gas, not a lot, right? Ever since that big correction, we've just basically died. And there's a great chart that is on our Twitter timeline for Brian Kelly, which just shows every settlement for quite a while now, the thing gets wrecked. So think what that is. Speculation, failing, too much the same way, having to sell out of their prompt into the next month on a different spread or timeline. And that's, for natural gas aficionados, hedges, it's a lot to do with weather and positioning. If you're a speculator, understand your risk, your overnight risk as best you can, but use your charts. It's going to be your best guide. And don't believe all the hype. You should know that by now. $6.50, end of the world, but look where we are now, right? And the last charts are going to be Apple. That had another upgrade overnight, so it's had 3 upgrades in, I think, 3 days. Who was it? Let me have a quick check. Yeah, it was named top pick by Morgan Stanley for next year. So we're again due for some kind of correction there. We got right to that target we spoke of, 175, almost 176. A lot of these are big open interest points or gamma points, however you want to word it. You have all this support below. Difficult if you are, it's a good place to put on to take profit. Put on puts if you want to lock it in as far as trading goes. And your other big one has been Nvidia. So we had this big move up after that dump last Friday. Big dump and reversal, very powerful actually. And look where we were on Murray. Very similar to what we just saw on S&P, right? So everything's moving in unison. And so we'll see how that plays out. And that's your chips and a darling of the market. As far as, let's have a quick look at currencies overnight. Do I have a chart handy? Let me see. So here's your euro. But let's have a look if there's anything that stands out. The yen has been one of late because of the safe haven. We can see overnight dollar's a tad weaker. And back there, nothing really there, but as you can see here, the yen is the strongest. The Aussie dollar is the lags overnight. A lot to do with that's obviously China. The 10-year yields are down 1.2 basis points. Remember, we had a 10-year auction yesterday. Gold's down a tad, and Bitcoin is back under 50,000, down 2.8%. That's your ultimate. It's interesting. We talk about GameStop, but that's kind of your ultimate, isn't it, of the punters market. Anything else any other news other than specific stock news, which we'll put on the market? Let me have a quick look. Bunch of offerings. I see OCGN, the stock that many people have got caught on the punter variety. He's up 14.8%. But again, when you're at $6, 14% isn't so much. That is about it from us. Have a great day. There's a few news items on the site. Inflation was, I want to say, is a 15-month high. The CPI over in China, mainly from food. Food's at the highest in 6 months. mainly fresh vegetables and fruit. So in all the food aspect, is obviously it's important, and energy aspect. That's what people learn to live. So keep an eye on that. Asia overnight, Hang Seng was up, China was up, Nikkei was down, and Europe indexes are a tad down today. Share this YouTube video if you so choose, if it's helpful to you or other people. Like us, subscribe to us, and all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter, and we will look forward to a good trading day. It should pick up a little bit more today with what's coming out. You've got more central bank with Powell. You've got your jobs numbers out of America, your jobless claims numbers are your main things to look at.